Welcome and join me in our today's mathematics lesson. We are looking at fractions, and under it we want to look at squares and square roots of fractions. How we can be able to get squares and square roots of fractions. I think in the previous lessons we have learned how we can be able to get squares of numbers and square roots of numbers. It is still the same procedure we are using to get squares and square roots of fractions. Now, if we can go back to what we learned about squares of numbers, we said that a square of a number, it is a number multiplied by itself. Which means if you want to work out a square of a fraction, we'll multiply that fraction by itself. Given that find the square of 4 over 9. This means that the square of 4 over 9, it is the same as taking 4 over 9 multiplying by 4 over 9. A square of a number, it is gotten by multiplying a number by itself. So take this fraction which is 4 over 9, multiply again by 4 over 9. We have learned how we can be able to multiply numbers, that multiply the numerators first, then the denominators. But if there is simplification, you can as well simplify those numbers. What we'll have to do here, we'll multiply the numerator, that is 4 multiplied by 4, which will give us 16 over 9 multiplied by 9, which will give us 81. In this case, there is no number that you can simplify. That's why we multiply the numerators separately, then multiply the denominators separately. Now we can say the square of 4 over 9 is 16 out of 81. Given a mixed fraction, how do you get a square of a mixed fraction? The rules are still the same. That change the mixed fraction into improper fraction first. Therefore, we'll have to change this. And we are saying that a square means multiply a number by itself. 5½ multiplied by 5½ Change the 2 into improper fraction. 5 multiplied by 2, which is 10, plus 1, you'll get 11 over 2. Multiply again by 11 over 2. There's nothing that you can simplify here. We multiply the numerators separately and the denominators separately. That is 11 multiplied by 11. You already know the multiplication table, yeah? Then this one gives us 121 divided by 2 multiplied by 2 will give us 4. In mathematics we said, do not leave your answer as an improper fraction. Make sure you either put it in simple fraction or in mixed fraction. We will have to divide this. That is, we divide 121 divided by 4. 4 cannot go into 1. You move to the second digit, which is 12. And the new number formed here will be 12. 4 into 12, how many times? 3. When I multiply 3 times 4, I'll get 12. When you subtract, this is 0. Drop 1. How many times can 4 go into 1? 0. 0 multiplied by 4, I'll get 0. When I subtract, I get what? That's 1. What we are saying is that the number at the top here, I write it as whole number, that is 30. The remainder, which is 1, I write it as the numerator. Then whatever I was dividing by, I make it the denominator. Which means the square of 5½ is 30¼ That's how you can get squares of numbers. I want us to go and look at square roots of numbers. How do you get the square root of numbers? We said that the square root, this is the number that has been formed by a certain perfect square. If you want to get the square root of a fraction, what you have to do, get the square root of each number separately. You'll have to get the square root. For this case, you get the square root of 9 and also get the square root of 25 separately. We already know that the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 25 is 5. Which means if you have been asked to get the square root of 9 over 25, the square root will be 3 over 5. But now, given a mixed fraction like this, how do you get the square root of such like numbers? And remember, we had said that if you have large figures, these ones are the exact squares that we know. We know the squares of those small numbers. But if you have bigger numbers, then you will have to use the factor tree. Use prime factorization to get the square root. Given a mixed number, first thing, change the mixed number into improper fraction. Take 3 multiplied by 36, then you add it to 13, everything over the denominator. This is 36 multiplied by 3. What are you going to get? 3 multiplied by 6, that is 18, carry 1. 3 multiplied by 3, it's 9 plus 1, 10. Then we are saying you add 13, that is 11, carry 1, 2, 1. When I change it into proper fraction, I'll get 121 out of 36. And because we are looking for the square root, then work out the square root of numerator first, then work out the square root of the denominator. Remember, this is 36, not 3, it's 36. We want to get the square root of 13 over 36. We have said change into improper fraction, and when you change the improper fraction, this is what you're going to get, 121 out of 36. Get the square root of each separately. What is the square root of 121? 11. What is the square root of 36? It is 6. What do we do here? We change into mixed fraction. And how do we change into mixed fraction? We work out long division. That's 11 divided by 6. How many times can 6 go into 11? It is once because of 6. When I subtract, I'll get 5. Then the number at the top here, it's written as a whole number. The remainder as the numerator. The number used to divide by becomes our denominator. Therefore, the square root of 13 over 36 is supposed to be one whole number, 5 over 6. That is how you can be able to get square root of numbers. Now, I want to take you through a word equation. How can you be able to do or solve problems involving word equations? Look at this question here. That the total area of 4 square windows is 9 meters square. What is the length of a side of each window? The total area of 4 square windows. In a drawing, I have 4 square windows. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are assuming that these are 4 square windows. So the total area of this 4 square window, it's 9. The area is 9 meters square. Now the question is, what is the length of each side of the window? How do we get area of a square? These 4 windows, they have made a big square here. You can be able to see it, which means the total of the 4 squares, they make the area of the bigger square. How do you get area of a bigger square? Area of a square, from class 5 we were told it is side multiplied by side, or there are those who say area of a square is side squared. This means, let me do the working here. This means that if I take area of a square, which is given by side squared, and I've been given the area as 9 meters square, will be equivalent to the side squared. From here, how can you get side squared? How do you get side? Do the square root and also do the square root on both sides. Whereby this square root on this side will cancel the square, you remain with side only. Then get the square root of 9. We already know that the square root of 9 is what? 3. Which means the side of the bigger square is 3 centimeters. This side here, from this point up to this point, it is 3 centimeters. Not 3 centimeters, our units were meters. Make sure you record the units, exact units that we were given in the question were meters. Which means from this point up to this point is 3 meters. But now the question wants us to get the length of each side of each window. Each side of each window. On this side you can see we have how many windows? These are 2 windows. And these 2 windows, their length is 3. Now if it is 1, what will be their length? Which means for you to get the length of one of the window, you are supposed to get these 3 divided by 2 to get the length of each side of the window. So we'll have 3 divided by 2. 2 goes into 3 how many times? 1. Because of 2 subtract gets 1. It means each side of that one window, it's 1.5 meters. 1.5 meters. Don't write your answer in decimals because we are still talking of fractions. The answer is supposed to be in fraction. The length of each side of the window is 1.5 meters. Work out and do more examples on such. You'll be able to get the concept right. Until we meet in our next lesson.